Hello there. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. And on the first segment, we talk about Pakistan that once nurtured Taliban as a strategic asset. And just last night, it bombed the very power that it helped create. On the first segment, let's decode this Afghanistan-Pakistan bloody endgame. A devastating escalation in the heart of Kabul that has pushed the already strained relations between Afghanistan and Pakistan to a dangerous new breaking point. On the night of the 16th of March, as the holy month of Ramadan continues, the Omid Drug Rehabilitation Hospital, a massive 2,000-bed facility, was largely reduced to rubble following a series of Pakistani airstrikes. The Taliban administration claims the attack was a deliberate strike on a civilian medical facility, reporting a staggering toll of 400 people killed, 250 others injured, most of whom that were patients. Pakistan has rejected this claim. Its government says the target was terror infrastructure linked to the TTP and certain drone facilities, and that civilians were not the aim. Pictures would tell you otherwise. But what makes this incident different is that the strike hit right in the capital city of Kabul, not only in the usual border zones. It also took place during the month of Ramadan, adding to the anger on the Afghan side. They've called this a crime against humanity and are warning of a response in a language that Pakistan understands. Officials there have spoken of possible drone or missile strikes on Pakistani targets. We're talking about fresh cross-border raids that are on the cards, or even stronger support to groups already active against Pakistan. They're also looking for support from the United Nations and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And to understand how we reached this tipping point, let us look at the recent timeline, shall we? After the Taliban took control of Afghanistan in 2021, attacks by the TTP inside Pakistan began to rise sharply. Border clashes started soon after. In 2024 and early 2025, Pakistan carried out airstrikes inside Afghan territory, and the Taliban answered with its own actions. A ceasefire was worked out in Qatar in October last year, but it remained shaky with occasional fights. And then, in February 2026, fresh major attacks by TTP and ISIS-K inside Pakistan that led Islamabad to issue strong warnings to the Taliban. On the 21st and 22nd of last month, Pakistan struck camps linked to those groups. The Taliban reported civilian losses in those strikes, and by the 26th of February, the Taliban launched its retaliation and Pakistan announced an open military operation. Heavy fighting with drones, artillery and ground forces, it continued through early March, and the hospital strike just last night has now taken the conflict to a new and certainly a more dangerous level. Afghanistan sits at the center of South, Central and West Asia. It's a key land route. We're talking trade, energy lines and new connectivity projects. And the country also holds trillions of dollars in untapped minerals such as lithium, copper, several rare earth minerals. Several big powers are watching this closely. Pakistan wants what it calls strategic depth against India. China hopes to extend its Belt and Road work through Afghan soil. India is looking for direct access to Central Asia without having to go through Pakistan. And the United States has an interest in places like the old Bagram Air Base for regional monitoring, whilst Iran and Russia keep an eye on security and their own influence. An esteemed set of panelists with us on the broadcast, and the big questions that we're trying to understand and decode. Does the targeting of Kabul signify that Pakistan has moved beyond border skirmishes to an all-out war strategy to force a change in Taliban policy? And if the Taliban follows on its threat to respond in kind in a language that Pakistan will understand? Are we looking at drone and missile strikes deep inside Pakistani territory next? Will China, India, the United States, Russia, all the other powers that are watching this closely try to step in to protect their own interests? Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former Indian diplomat, with us on the broadcast. Major General Rajan Kocha, defense and geopolitical expert. Good evening, General. And Pathikrit Pai, foreign affairs and geopolitical expert. Many thanks for joining us, taking out the time, Pathikrit. Ambassador, let me get the snowball rolling. Pakistan clearly once celebrated the Taliban's return not very long ago. That thaw seems to be absolutely shaky. We're talking about more than just cross-border skirmishes. What explains this complete breakdown that we're looking today? I mean, horrible and gruesome visuals coming from Kabul, from that hospital. But does this strike mark the end of that diplomatic space between Kabul and Islamabad? And what's going to happen next, ma'am?
Well, this shows that geopolitics in Afghanistan, Pakistan have revolved 180 degrees. Because when the Taliban took over, the Pakistanis claimed that it was a huge victory against India.
Yep.
And they had, as you had pointed out, managed to get strategic space against India, which they would use in future. Now we see a situation where a fellow Sunni country has attacked another Sunni country in the holy month of Ramadan. One could understand President Trump, who doesn't know much about other religions, thinking that he could get away with attacking Iran during Ramadan. But for Pakistan to do that, calling itself an Islamic State, is a crime according to the Quran. Actually, it would be treated by the Afghans now as their right to have jihad, because since the crime is un-Islamic, they be jihadi. That's the first point I want to make. Secondly, it is very important to understand that there are two countries in millennia, Kabir, that have brought down empires. One, Trump is struggling with, that's Persia, now Iran, and the other, Pakistan has decided to take on, that is Afghanistan. Afghanistan will 100% take revenge. These are battle-hardened people. They have nothing to lose. The attack on a civilian facility or on a hospital cannot be justified. Military strikes during Ramadan cannot be justified. The so-called ceasefire, which had been negotiated, as you pointed out, in October last year, was very tenuous. Pakistan also has restless provinces wanting to break away, and this is the totally wrong time when the attention of the world is focused on the Middle East and on what's happening in the Straits of Hormuz, etc.
Yep.
Set this off, the Afghans would actually have a free hand to do what they want, because other powers would be preoccupied in a very serious situation which has developed in the Straits of Hormuz. So I think, Kabir, that this will have catastrophic consequences for Pakistan, and it could be the beginning of the end of the breakup of Pakistan.
The geopolitical diplomatic space between Kabul and Islamabad as we know it. And you're absolutely right. But, General Kocher, come in on this. The ambassador says this is going to be a prolonged conflict across the border. From a military standpoint, really how tactical were these strikes? Was it clear-cut, escalation? Are we looking at a prolonged conflict? How deep inside Pakistani territory can Afghanistan now attack? And whilst you're at it, how vulnerable is Pakistan to that retaliatory asymmetric warfare from these Taliban factions? We've seen guerrilla-style, attacks coming in as well over the course of, last year and early on this year as well. Constant exchange of missile power. How vulnerable is Pakistan right now?
Okay, Kabir, let me do a bit of a terrain analysis for a better understanding of our viewers.
Okay.
To understand that how a Pakistan-Afghanistan conflict can you develop you further. Okay, if you see the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, it is around 2,640 kilometers of border. And according to Pakistan, 90% of that Durand line, which actually separates the two countries, is fenced. But that's a fallacy. And you know why I'm saying it is a fallacy is because for the Pakistan army, 11 and 12 corps are deployed here. It's impossible to cover this entire 2,640 kilometers. As a matter of fact, this border is much larger than the India-Pakistan border. And Pakistan has got a very, very sizable force on the India-Pakistan border. So this border is very, very lightly defended, I will say that. And Pakistan will dare not get into Afghanistan because of the terrain. If you divide this entire Durand line into three portions, the northern, the central, and the southern. The northern side is the mountain area. The southern is again a mountainous area, and the central is somewhat like a plateau. So Pakistan will not be able to get inside because of the proficiency or you can say expertise of the Taliban in guerrilla warfare. So what is the best option for Pakistan? To go for airstrikes, because Pakistan has air superiority. Afghanistan does not have any air defense available to them.
Yeah.
And it is where impunity Pakistan can enter. This is not the first time, Kabir, that Pakistan has attacked Kabul. And if you remember, Pakistan has been attacking the refugee camps in Paktika and other areas of Afghanistan earlier also.
Yeah.
And there have been large civilian casualties at that point of time. Is the world silent on these aspects? Because today I've heard that WHO is sending a delegation to confirm whether it was a rehab center or a hospital it has been struck.
That's right.
We have actually images available to us to suggest that it was not a terrorist camp, so Pakistan cannot get away with this. And my last your point is from a military point of view.
Yeah.
There is going to be a massive retaliation from Taliban or from Afghanistan. I'll say that we keep on saying Taliban, Taliban all the time. I think we must change it to Afghanistan now. There'll be a massive retaliation from Afghanistan in three areas. The first area is that they are going to launch drones from inside Pakistan, because most of the reporting I am seeing, they are mentioning that the drone was launched from Afghanistan. No, it is going to be launched from Pakistan, because there are a large number of refugees of Afghanistan origin still in Pakistan, and they're going to act like sleeper cells. And it will be very, very difficult for Pakistan if a drone is launched from within to stop that drone. The second is the Majid Brigade of the BLA as well as the TTP. They've all joined together. We are going to see number of suicide attacks in Karachi, Islamabad, and these areas. And the third point is interdiction of the Pakistan army convoys, moving sniper action, IEDs on the roads, ambushes. So
Okay.
this is going to be asymmetrical warfare, a hybrid warfare, which Afghanistan is going to unleash on Pakistan, because remember, Afghanistan does not have that kind of an army, conventional army, to fight Pakistan in a similar manner. They are going to fight Pakistan in a different manner.
Absolutely.
And there is going to be instability in this
So
region.
the
And my
recipe for
last
a bloody
point-
war is certainly on the
and my
table.
last point, Kabir, one
Yeah.
important.
Yes, General, go on.
India will have to rethink its strategy. India will, apart from the economic help you are giving to Afghanistan, we need to build up their air defense capability, defensive capability of Afghanistan to be able to cater for these kind of strikes from Pakistan. I think we'll have to get out of that comfort zone now, because
Yeah.
it's high time India actually gets out of that comfort zone and starts
That's a nice
equipping,
segue, General. That is a nice segue. From sponsors to strikers, Pakistan's Taliban policy coming a full circle. You are of the opinion that it's going to be a bloody war that's coming here. Pathikrit, come in on this. What should India's standpoint now be? Where does India stand here strategically? Observer? Are we stakeholders? Are we emerging stabilizers? What kind of a role can India play here? General is saying that we need to up their air defense systems if we've got to safeguard our interests in Taliban Afghanistan.
Well, if India decides to send certain amount, first of all, I don't think India needs to send air defense systems from here, because it's all available in the international market. If at all you want to give, you just need to pay the money. Somebody else will give it to them. That's the easiest way to do. You don't need to actually logistically ship it from India, number one. Number two, well, what stand India will take, that is something the government of India will decide. But there are a lot of challenges and complexities going on in the world right now. Number one, let's come out of this delusion that, there is a war crime that happened, and so suddenly the multilateral institutions will do something. No multilateral institution will do anything. Even if they do anything, nobody cares two hoots, because it is the same Pakistan which has been put into that grey list many times. They actually came out of it laughing more than before.
Fair point.
And there are war crimes happening by dropping bombs on schools in Iran. Nobody does anything. So let's stop presuming that multilateral institutions have taken notice of it. No, nothing will happen. If eventually there's a war happening, it is the people of Afghanistan who will have to fight this war. This is a reality. Unfortunate it is. The question is, should we support? Well, I think Afghanistan, if it requires support, I think most people of India, I don't know what the government of India will decide. That is for the government's call. I think most people in India will support it because the Pakistanis have never left two stones unturned when it comes to arming or funding anti-Indian forces. That's one we have to be very clear about.
Yeah.
Third, I think one of the reasons why the Pakistanis are doing is this. Every time Pakistan has been on the cusp of implosion from inside, they have waged an external war to galvanize the country. Now as situation stands, they can't do it against India. So they thought that Afghanistan will be a softer target because they don't have an air defense system. However, Afghanistan, on paper, they may have 170,000 soldiers. But an average Afghan guy, who owes allegiance to the state of Afghanistan or Taliban, needs a two-wheeler, which is also made in Pakistan, and a AK-47, a few grenades, and he will just move towards that. If you see the way they operate, they actually defy all conventional military tactics. In the middle of the night, they will just go from three directions, fire into one of these border outposts, and before the morning, they will all vanish. So this is the way they will do it. More probably, it has gone, as you rightly mentioned, beyond border skirmishes. And I think, as General also mentioned, there are a large number of people of Afghan origin, mostly the Pashtuns, who are inside Pakistan, who have more allegiance towards Afghanistan rather than Pakistan. And this is one reason. Why Pakistan actually preferred not to do much for a long period of time for fear of these terror attacks, suicide bombing. They will not act as sleeper cells. They'll just openly come up and blast themselves. So I don't know why Pakistan is doing it right now. Who is instructing them? And I would love to know what fighter jets they have used. Have they used the F-16s to bomb Kabul? And if they've used the F-16, did it have the sanction of the Americans or any kind of permission from the Americans? And if the Americans actually give permission to them, then is it that America wants this front as also to be opened up? And second question is this: what happens when it comes to Afghan-Iran collaboration in this case? Would the Iranians take it as an opportunity to fund Afghanistan against Pakistan? Because the Iranians apprehend that the Pakistanis have time and again allowed the Americans to use their airspace to do surveillance on Iran. So there are multitude of issues here where India will have to protect, number one, its own territorial integrity and its sovereign interest in Afghanistan. If that requires supplying them with air defense systems, so be it. But at the end of the day, I think the Afghanistan people are capable of to fight it out. And I think beyond the point, the Pakistanis do not have that capacity anymore to have a long drawn war. There's so much exposed from inside. It is a very, very messy thing that they have got into again. And it's not going to end well for them.
So much that's on the line, so much that's already on the line. Ambassador, what do you make of those comments that the General has made, that Pathikrit here has made? Is Pakistan fighting terrorism, or is Pakistan fighting the consequences of its own bad policies? it is a strategic corridor. Afghanistan's importance cannot be denied. And if this escalates further, then who really comes and steps in? Is it going to be the Gulf? Is it going to be China that's clearly watching on to this, what's happening here? And what kind of a role can India play? Or is it going to be the region that's going to be left on its own? I don't think that's going to happen, given the strategic importance of Afghanistan. But how do you see this playing out? It's not going to end anytime soon. But what's the end game here?
The most important thing as far as India is concerned is that now Pakistan has got two disturbed borders. Earlier, they were very happy that we had China, India, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. Now the opposite is happening, and this border, which is lightly defended, as has been pointed out, has become a flashpoint. We certainly not going to sit back and do nothing. We have got two options. One is covert, which we are already doing, I'm sure. I would not like to say it on national television. And one is overt. As far as supplying Afghanistan with air defense system is concerned, let's remember one thing, that this whole business of bombing the Taliban earlier, tried first by the Russians, then by the Americans, etc. What happened? We saw the spectacle, Kabir, of desperate people clinging on to the wheels of these 747s taking off to go to safe sanctuaries back in the West.
Yeah.
What air defense system did Afghanistan have at that time? But they drove them out. They drove out a country far more powerful than Pakistan. The entire West, they drove them out. It's not air defenses. I quite agree with my co-panelists who say that they are absolutely experts at guerrilla warfare.
Yep.
As far as supplying them is concerned, we will supply them without putting it in the headlines of the newspaper. Of course, we will supply them. We will support them to the hilt. And when things start returning to normal in Iran, the Iranians will also help them, because the Iranians are very upset about the so-called Saudi-Pakistan Defense Pact, which they feel is aimed at them. So they are not going to take this lightly either. When they resurface, when President Trump backs off, as he's already started backing off, then Iran returns to some form of stability. There will be another country fully supporting Afghanistan. I also believe that this is going to be a prolonged war. I think it is in India's interest to keep it going for as long as possible. The longer it continues, the more Pakistan gets destabilized.
Okay.
The more Pakistan gets destabilized, its restless provinces get a golden opportunity to break away. So I think it is in our interest to have this conflict continue.
Interesting point. Interesting point, Ambassador. General Kochar, let's throw some more light. We've spoken about the TTP safe havens. You've spoken to us about Taliban's military limitations versus Pakistan and the impunity with which they can carry out these aerial strikes. But will this purely remain a guerrilla-style escalation, or is there some sort of military artillery where Afghan, quote-unquote, not Taliban, Afghanistan is going to retaliate to Pakistan?
Kabir, first I would just like to comment on a point which was made by Pathiprit, because it was a very important point. He was trying to hint that which is the force behind Pakistan, which is carrying out these attacks here. I have a genuine concern that it's the United States. And why I want to propagate or I want to substantiate that theory is that you also mentioned in your initial narrative about Bagram Airport and the importance of Bagram Airport as far as US is concerned to contain China. So today, the way General Munir is playing into the hands of President Trump for whatever reasons he had to do that, I have a strong feeling that this has the tacit approval of the United States, and it won't be outrageous for me to say that they are also looking at some kind of a regime change in Afghanistan. because without that kind of a shift in Afghanistan, I think the Americans will not be able to get their
So
way
you're saying
through.
puppet Pakistan playing into the hands of the United States over here?
Yes, yes. I have a strong feeling, and if we discuss this, off the record, I can tell you many such things which are happening, which possibly we can't discuss on the channel. But definitely there is a play in motion,
Okay,
and
okay.
because how can you justify this kind of an action by Pakistan on a regular basis, carrying out airstrikes and things like that? And what is important here to understand is that Pakistan also knows that Afghanistan can be a source of a great problem to Pakistan. And in spite of that, Pakistan is making absolutely no efforts to even have a discussion with Afghanistan or to have a mediator, something like
Yep.
it happened in Qatar in 2025, when they actually sat down and they discussed a ceasefire, which was fragile. It got violated a number of times, but certainly it is not in Pakistan's interest to have a hot border here.
No,
Because
that's a
Pakistan
great point, and we
does not
need to keep an open eye on that. Puppet Pakistan playing into the hands of the United States, and they really need the Bagram air base for their surveillance. So when they're talking about that, completely running out of time here. My final, comment from Patikrit here. Patikrit, Afghanistan once again becoming this playground for the competing powers. What a great example that General has given us. Could this instability open doors for a greater Chinese influence in Afghanistan, and how do we play that out?
I think the Chinese have shown that they have a limitation in terms of doing things wherever conflicts are going on. But I think America, as the general rightly mentioned, the Americans will finding it difficult to have a toehold on Iran without having a space within Afghanistan. And I think this is one of the reasons, because if you look at the finances of Pakistan right now, they certainly are not in a position to wage a long-drawn war unless somebody has promised to bankroll them. So I think what we are witnessing, unfortunately, is a connection, or regional conflicts are getting converged. There's a Middle Eastern conflict, there's a South Asian conflict between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and then Netanyahu, if he's speaking to Zelensky or vice versa, and the Russians are helping the Iranians, that the East European conflict is again coming into this fold. And world wars are always like this, regional conflicts getting connected into a bigger one. So this is not something isolated happening, but somebody from somewhere else instructing the Pakistanis to do something in Afghanistan. And of course, they all will get entangled into a conflict which we don't know which direction it will go. In fact, these conflicts never have a good end. In the sense, nobody wins. Nobody is a clear winner. It will only lead to devastation from both sides or every side.
Yeah, rumble in Afghanistan. Many thanks, gentlemen, for taking out the time, and Ambassador Mukherjee as well. Clearly, when proxies turn into powers, control becomes conflict, and Pakistan is now facing the consequences of its own playbook, taking a complete 180-degree turn. And the bigger question to understand is, if Afghanistan destabilizes again, who holds the region together and at what cost? And some of those pertinent points that General Kochhar and Patikrit have raised here on this debate. We're going to leave it at that, but we're going to keep a close focus on what's happening in Kabul and the lack of geopolitical diplomacy and the space thereof between Islamabad and Kabul. But with that, it's a wrap on the first segment of IYI. Our second segment right on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
हमें स्वस्थ रखने वाली सारी चीजें ज्यादातर शुद्ध होनी चाहिए। सूर्य की किरणें और स्वच्छ पानी, वैसा ही है लाइन अरेबियन डेट्स। और अब लाइन लाइना डेट्स, इसमें फाइबर्स और विटामिन्स भी कुदरती हैं, जो